spent the last 20 years analyzing the global restaurant business from the inside out. I've studied the consumer habits and actions that feed this business every day. Innovation is found in places where few might look. It's where the real heartbeat of the restaurant business lies. Sometimes it's beneath the known Michelin stars or the glitz and the glamour of the posh addresses of the best restaurant districts in the business. We all face the same thing every day, and that's finding the best value for what we want. I'm Paul Barron, and this is my show, and I'm in search of amazing food, stellar service, and that unforgettable experience. Welcome to Table 42. Behind the Federal. This is a menu that is very unique in the sense of not only the proteins you guys do, but also some of the spices and just the smells we're catching here in the kitchen right now. Tell us a little about that.
Well, I think I grew up here in the States, and I have lived in different parts of the country, seeing how people eat, comfort American food. And I just wanted to do something a little different. Take that cuisine, but make it a little bit more interesting, but at the same time trying to use ingredients that the consumer can still relate to, and just kind of give it a little twist. The buffalo pig wings that we have, instead of doing the chicken wings, we take a buffalo pig wing, which comes from the beef love part of the pig, and we braise it, smoke it, and then once it's cooked, it just compresses, and then actually just totally looks like a pig wing. Chicken wings are served with like a blue cheese sauce, right, and carrots and celery. So we just take it to another level, and we create a blue cheese mousse.
Okay.
And then the buffalo sauce, of course, everything is made in-house. And then we do a little pickled celery and carrot salad on top of it. So the charred duck, it's a take on a Thanksgiving dinner. A lot of times when you, for Thanksgiving, you have your sweet potatoes, your marshmallows, a little bit of turkey. So I kind of want to take that to another level, make it a little different. So I'm like, why not do this with duck? So get a duck rillette. A duck rillette is basically almost similar to a duck pate, and then serve this on a jar with the side of nice caramelized sweet potatoes, and then we make our own marshmallow fluff, and just that whole combination just take you, when you were a kid, just eating that Thanksgiving dinner, something comfort that you can actually relate to.
Right. Yeah, now you guys actually started as a pop-up, you were telling me outside. That's kind of interesting that you've evolved so quickly as really one of the top shops here in Miami. What was the trigger point for you to make that jump, to say, okay, this is no longer, we want to make this a full-blown shop now?
We go to New York, Chicago, San Francisco, and we see all these unique restaurants that every time we go there, we always keep going because they have all this great food. And I'm like, why not do the same thing here in Miami? Bring some of that, some of those concepts that we don't have, that try to create that food culture that Miami kind of lacks, which right now it's kind of evolving.
It's coming on the upscale.
Right. So that's how the Federal came in place. We wanted to do a modern American food tavern where people can come, enjoy good food, sit down on a table, have some drinks, and then just enjoy a dinner.
So Agnes, let's talk a little bit about what we've done. We've kind of went from the back of house and now we're in the front of house of the Federal. And you guys have obviously a very unique style here that I don't even want to try to explain what you're trying to pull off here, because it's just got a special feeling about it. In your words.
I think special is a great way to describe it. We are a modern American tavern. People always ask us, well, what does that mean? Well, It's sort of about taking classic American comfort foods, putting them in a setting that is really comfortable, taking you out of Miami, and making you feel like you're in some tavern in the Catskills, but you're getting the best food that you can possibly get. Amazing service, a great wine selection, and some cool beers.
What is the inspiration behind the design? So obviously you and Cesar have kind of put together not only a matchup with the menu itself, but styling it into the design of the restaurant itself. Was there anything that inspired you specifically?
Well, so Cesar and I are one part of this equation. The other part of this equation is a fellow named Alejandro Ortiz, and he is one of the partners of the Federal. And the three of us, we figured the three of us came to the States when we were young kids. What could we put together and compile as two kids from Puerto Rico and a Colombian kid? What is a reference point that we could do and relate to and
Right.
really put it inside four walls? And this was it. We all grew up in the Northeast. Caesar spent a lot of time in Houston, so there's that Southwest influence. Alejandro went to school at CIA, so there's that Catskill influence. I grew up in Manhattan, so we managed to put different influences in our lives from those three different geographical regions, and that this place is an amalgamation of that.
Yeah, I think those kind of restaurants, when they bring in that style and personality from so many different places in the country or across the globe, you end up with that very special feeling.
Absolutely.
And that you have here at the
And
Federal.
this is it's really personal. It's personable because we want our staff to make everyone feel like they're at home. We wanted to create a space that, even though it was new, it was already broken into. It felt used. It felt like you had been here 50 times over, but the door hadn't even opened yet.
Right.
And that was a huge part of the inspiration of doing this, because it is about comfort food. It's about feeling good and feeling good in your skin.
Yeah.
And also taking you away from what is outside those doors.
You do have an interesting wine list in comparison to, say, other restaurants.
Absolutely.
Obviously, trying to pair it with a food like this is not an easy task. What
Right.
was the idea behind that?
Well, first and foremost, we're a small business and we're the underdog, so we are working with distributors and portfolios that represent that.
Yeah.
So we're supporting our own kind. So everyone can buy from the big brands if they wanted to, but we want to support people who really pull out of care and integrity in what they do. And every single one of the wines on our wine list absolutely and wholeheartedly represents that. So
Excellent.
that is the first criteria for the wines to even walk in the door. The second criteria is, do they pair well with our food? 60% of the wine list is domestic, 40% is international, and between the differences that each section will have, the one thing that they do have in common is that there's a great balance of acid and fruit. Our food can be rich at times, so
Right.
it's really important that we find wines that have sufficient acid structure to balance off those foods, because after all, food and wine go hand in hand.
Sure.
They're meant to be consumed together. But then also you have to be cognizant of the individual that just wants something a little fruity and a little light and a little bit easy to drink.
All right, so guys, we have explored the Federal in a way that only Table 42 does. And part of kind of our final hurrah in each episode is we actually get a chance to be at a table with our owners, our chefs, our maitre d's, to talk a little bit about the food as kind of the final act, you know, because obviously you guys have connected the back of house with the amazing recipes and concepts of the menu to the front of the house with the design and the element that kind of connects to that consumer. What do you guys see when you are looking at a consumer and how they kind of react to what they find when a food delivery happens maybe for the first time? Surprise, wonder?
A little bit of both. I think that surprise that they'll just be like, and then they'll just smile.
Sure.
And then I think that that expression, that's what makes me happy. I'm like, okay, you know, we're doing something right.
Yeah.
People are enjoying the food.
All of it kind of comes together for them.
Right.
Like the wheels are turning.
Yeah.
Something surprising, like
Yeah.
something they don't expect, and all
Yeah.
of a sudden they just smile, like, oh, no,
I
this
got
is
it.
good.
Yeah.
Well, you guys have been great hosts tonight on Table 42, and a chance to do a toast real quick.
Absolutely.
And this beer is?
This is a Due South Caramel Ale. It's a Florida beer.
I like that. Cheers.
Cheers
Cheers
to you
to that.
and the Federal.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for
Thank you
having
for
us.
coming
You bet.
and having us.
Oh, that's great.